Our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook Live and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. Every Saturday morning we are here with you. We're here to share. We're here to help you with any opportunities, activities, and of course we may want to make sure that we inform. And this morning, I know we have had a very long run this month, with it being Child Month. We had the preschoolers in the house every week for the month of June, and you guys know how preschoolers can get a little energetic and active, and so we had a very active and full house for the entire month of June, and that has not changed. We don't have preschoolers today, but we do have some other guests. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education, and in the studio with me I have some very special, important young people. Some very important students, and they're our ambassadors, and we'll find out more about who they are.
Hello, my name is Brianna Webb. I am a student of the Ivor Waters Primary School, and I am in grade 6.
Hello, my name is Nicola Brown. I am a student of the Ivor Waters Primary School, and I am in grade 6.
Hello, my name is Sammy Lucius, and I am a grade 6 of the Ivor Waters Primary School.
Good morning. My name is Anaya Brooks, and I am a grade 6 of the Ivor Waters Primary School.
Okay.
Good morning. I am Mr. Jack Goomba from the Navy's Disaster Management Department, in charge of communications and the acting deputy.
All right, awesome. So as you can tell, we have some students, and we have Mr. Goomba here, and so that tells us that our topic this morning will be focused more or less on something that's related to disaster. What is it? We don't know quite yet, but we'll find out. But before we delve into the content and to talk about exactly why you're here this morning, I wanted to stop for a moment and, of course, share some dates with our listening public. We have our graduation ceremonies coming up soon, and many people want to know which graduations are happening when, and they have to make sure they schedule their work time, and we have students who want to go to support their friends. So we're going to share the calendar for the 2019 graduation season, primary and preschools. We've already had the graduation ceremony for the Charlestown preschool. That was on last Tuesday, and so we continued this week with the 3rd of July. That is on Wednesday. We have the St. James Primary School, and their ceremony is at the Eden Brown Church of God at 9:30 a.m. Then we have the Joyceton Liebert Primary School. That ceremony is at the St. George's Anglican Church at 4 p.m. On the 4th of July, that's Thursday, we have the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary School at the Combermere Methodist Church starting at 9:30 a.m. and the Charlestown Primary School at the Charlestown Methodist Church starting at 4 p.m. And then we have, on that same day, Montessori Academy at the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall and the Gingerland Preschool at the Gingerland Methodist Church, and that's at 9:30 a.m. On the 5th, we have the Ines France Preschool at the Jessup's New Testament Church at 4 p.m. On the 8th, we have the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, Marion Heights Pentecostal Church at 4 p.m. On the 9th, we have the St. Thomas's Primary School at the Jessup's New Testament Church of God at 4 p.m. We also have Nevis Academy, and that's at 9 a.m. We have the Maud Cross Preparatory School on the 10th of July at the Charlestown Methodist Church starting at 3 p.m. And on the 11th, Combermere Preschool at the Combermere Methodist Church at 4 p.m. And the Ivor Walters Primary School has their ceremony also on the 11th at the Shiloh Baptist Church at 4 p.m. And then on the 14th of July, that's the Sunday after school closes, we'll have the graduation ceremony of the V&J's Preschool at the Gingerland Secondary School Auditorium. And so we have a very packed calendar for the rest of the season, and we want to encourage you just like we encourage you to go out to their quizzes and their sports meets and other activities. We're also encouraging you to support the students during their graduation ceremonies, and we'll give the dates out again before the end of this show. But we just want to, as I said, encourage all of you to come on out and to support our students in all of their endeavors. I want to also say to all of the students who are graduating, because we won't get to do it next week ahead of the first set, so we want to congratulate all of you for a job well done. We want to continue to encourage you to do your very best at all times, and that you should make sure that you're growing and going from one step to the next, and that you're not remaining lazy and complacent. And I have some grade 6 students in the studio with me, so I'm going to make sure that you hear me, that you continue to work hard, because their life does not stop after your grade 6 graduation. You have a lot more in store for you. You have a lot more to do, and you have to keep working hard. I know some of you put you're all into getting ready for the test of standards, and then you get to high school, you're like, yeah, I've arrived. You have not arrived yet. You have a long way to go. And so I want to encourage all of you in the studio with me, as well as those listening at home, and to the parents as well, to continue working hard, continue to put out the effort like you have done for this stage of your lives, so that as you continue to grow, you can be prepared for the world of work, for college, for whatever lies ahead in your future. Okay? Right? Okay. So we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll find out exactly why we have these persons in the studio this morning.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's Youth on the Go. Youth on the Go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, Youth on the Go. Oh, let's start the show. Oh, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. There's storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughn Radio's Facebook Live and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go. In case you just locked in, you are listening to Youth on the Go. We have a special edition this morning. I think every Saturday we have a special edition, but we have some very important students in the room with us today. I am Zanella Claxton from the Department of Education, and we have some students from the Ivor Walters Primary School. We also have Mr. Jack Goomba from the Nevis Disaster Management Department, and we're going to start off with Mr. Goomba. Children, if you can give us just a few minutes to find out about why we are here. We understand that you have a multi-hazard campaign, and it's not a new campaign. It's something that's been ongoing for several years. If you could tell us a bit about that campaign, Mr. Goomba, and then zero in on the month of June and what our campaign for June is like or about.
Thank you, Ms. Claxton. It's a very great privilege to be here to have such a forum to talk more about the campaign. The multi-hazard campaign it was born, that would have been 2017, when I would have attended a seminar in Japan, more on disaster awareness. And looking into all the target audience groups, I came up with a proposal to convert your audience to your messengers, which Japan greatly endorsed. And the way we had to go about it was to get the children from schools, churches, businesses, and government entities. The truth about disasters, we always think of how to respond. But how do you respond to something you don't even know? You don't know the characteristics, you don't know its formation, and you don't know its cycle. So we thought it wise to come up with multi-hazard. First of all, to change the mindset of only hurricane exists. After the hurricane season, that is it. That's a very big lie, because who says an earthquake cannot happen in a hurricane season? Who says a tsunami cannot happen? And if we look also in terms of the receptions from persons on disaster messages, they are kind of passive. It's not one of the hot topics like sports. So we now decided to do a flip, where we now turn the audience to become the messengers. And that is exactly what we are doing. How do we go about it with the multi-hazards? We started with the education department. Firstly, primary schools. Every school in Nevis was assigned a particular hazard. Charlestown, which is January earthquake, St. James Primary landslide, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary tsunami, right up through to December. What do they do about that? We give them the information, educate them on what that hazard is. Then we get their children, that's the students, to partake in print, audio, and visual public service announcements, because kids will be drawn towards kids in terms of message fine-tuning, and they do it their way and their standard. So that has really been something that works, because they now are gaining ownership of the message. And one thing we discover, when they become the messenger, they eventually become the message, which brings a culture of safety.
Okay, wonderful. And so that means, that leads me to my next question. So what is the disaster assigned to the Ivor Walters Primary School? Since we have some representation here, that means that we're going to focus on that particular hazard this morning. And which one is assigned to Ivor Walters Primary?
Of course, Ivor Walters Primary School is assigned the hurricane.
All right. And so we have the students here this morning, and I see some of them have on their hurricane preparedness, awareness shirt that says "Be prepared," and we are going to talk to them a bit so that they can tell us, what they've been doing, what they know about hurricanes, and we're using the audience as messengers and agents of change, and so we're going to do that this morning. So a special welcome to all of you children this morning. Okay, so before we go any further, what is a hurricane? We're talking about hurricane season. It's the month for the hurricanes. You are the hurricane ambassadors, if I dare say that. What is a hurricane?
Hurricanes are large, organized storm systems sustaining wind speeds of 74 miles per hour and above.
Okay, so we have a definition of a hurricane. Who has ever been in a hurricane or seen one? Okay, so everybody has, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Facebook, everybody has been privy to what a hurricane looks like. From your experience, what do you remember seeing during the hurricane? Because we're seeing a large organized storm of over 74 miles, or 74 miles and above. But what do you remember seeing? What do you remember hearing during the hurricane? What were some of the things that came up, or that you can recall?
Caused a lot of flooding.
Flooding. So we had some flooding. Good.
Because trees to blow down.
So what caused the trees to blow down? The flooding?
The strong winds.
The strong winds. So we have strong winds. And what caused the flooding? Torrential, heavy rains. Not just a little, not just a drizzle. Okay. What else? What else do we remember in terms of some of the characteristics? So we had strong winds. We have winds. It was very windy. We had some flooding because of the rain, and trees blowing down because of the wind. Okay, we're trying to create a picture in everybody's head for those people who have never seen a hurricane of what you recall and what 74 miles and above of a wind speed of 74 miles and above can look like. Okay? Anything else you want to add?
Someone's roof blew off.
Okay, so the strong winds could have caused the roof to blow off. And that's something that would happen during a hurricane. Good job. So now everybody has an idea of what 74 miles per hour or above of wind can do. Because, if you have a nice little calm breeze, it might just sway the leaves, or the trees might go from side to side. But if you have a tree blowing down, or if you have roofs coming up, it's a very strong system, right? Okay, so now I've heard of hurricanes, but I've also heard of cyclones, and typhoons, and of course hurricanes. Is there a difference? What's the meaning of what do those words mean? Cyclone, typhoon. Well, we already know hurricane.
Well, they all mean the same thing. In the North Atlantic and Caribbean, as well as the Northeast Pacific, they go by hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
In the Northwest Pacific, there's typhoons. In the Indian Ocean and South Pacific, they're simply tropical cyclones or cyclones.
So you're trying to tell me that the hurricane is the same thing as the typhoon, is the same thing as the cyclone, or
Yes.
tropical cyclone.
Yes.
Okay, so, and you told me in 3 distinct regions that it's just a matter of calling them a different name based on where you live. So if today I move to, I have some friends I have some friends in Japan. If I have some friends in Japan, y'all might have to help me. What would they refer to these systems as? If I have a friend who lives in Japan, Mr. Goomba went to Japan.
They will refer to it as a typhoon.
Okay, so my friends in Japan would refer to the systems as a typhoon. My friends in India, I have some friends in India, and a storm is coming, an organized system that is over 75 miles per hour or above. What would my friend in India call that?
Tropical cyclone.
Okay, so Sammy's on it. Sammy's like, yeah, I've got this. Don't even try to trick me. Okay, but good job. And so what we want people to understand, students, is that we call it hurricanes. Other people call it a different name, but it has the same characteristics, right? They will have the same strong winds, the rain, the roofs lifting. It depends on how the houses or structures are built and how strongly it gets. But it's the same system, same thing. Good. Okay, so during the hurricane season, let me tell you, I don't know if you guys do this. You're probably too technological, but we'll talk about it. When I was your age, we used to go to the gas station and the drugstore and all those places, and they used to give us some little maps, right? So the maps were about the size of a sheet of paper, and it had the whole Caribbean region in it, and it had the grid. And what we used to do is to plot where the hurricane is every day. So every hour, every 6 hours or so, the media houses will give you an update as to where the hurricane is. And we used to have to grid it, and we'd have our little dots or stars showing where the hurricane is all along. But now you just log into the Weather Channel, and you go online or go on your phone, and you can see it moving. But of course, when I was your age, I didn't have that kind of technology. One of the things that I remember, though, is that they talked about different stages of the hurricane. So they might start off and say, well, it is not 4 miles per hour yet, so it's called something. So what we're going to talk a bit about, what are the stages of a tropical cyclone, or what are the stages of a hurricane?
There are 4 stages of a hurricane. Tropical disturbance. It begins as a tropical wave. The wave is a low pressure trough or front that moves from east to west, generating wind speeds of around 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
Tropical depression. It is a disorganized system of strong storms characterized by maximum sustained wind speeds of 38 miles per hour.
Okay, good. You have to make sure you're... Okay.
Tropical storm. It is a system producing 1 minute sustained winds of 39 to 73 miles per hour at an elevation of 32.8 feet. The system becomes a tropical storm and is given an official name such as ha- Harvin or
Irma.
Harvin or
Irma.
Irma.
Okay.
Tropical cyclones or hurricanes. Tropical cyclones are large organized storm systems sustaining wind speeds of 74 miles per hour and above. It has a calm center called an eye, with the strongest winds blowing in a band around the eye. It weakens and disappears when they reach land.
Okay, good. So, during hurricane season, we'll hear about different levels of storms. For those people who are listening, and you can chime in and help me anytime if you have an answer, you just indicate to me so that I would know you have something to add, right? So for those persons who are listening, we know that we would hear the news, the meteorologists on the TV, and they'll say, we have a tropical disturbance. Once we hear that, we start leaning in because we know that something could possibly come out of it. Maybe nothing will. Maybe we'll get some rain. Maybe it will go away. Maybe we'll go in a different direction. But we have a tropical disturbance. And then we will hear, okay, folks, we have a tropical depression. And I think by that time, sometimes they identify them by a number or they identify them in some other way. And it's according to what you said a while ago, the wind speed does not go above 38 miles per hour, which, I think we can pretty much survive that. But then it gets to the other level, and it's tropical storm. And that's when it gets a name. Now, the tropical storms get their names in advance of being formed. Do you know that? Yeah? You know that they have a list of names at the beginning of the hurricane season? And so what they do, Mr. Gumba, you can help me, but they go through the names alphabetically, right?
Yeah.
And so guess what? My name can end up on there. Your name can end up on there. We can see Jack on there. We can see anybody's name. But they compile a list, they come up with a list, and they release it before the hurricane season starts, right? So everybody knows that? Okay. And then after that, of course, we start listening out even more because we are up to, when we get too close to 74 miles per hour, we know it's time to do all those things that we need to do to keep our homes secure, right? We good? What are some of the things that we do to keep our homes secure? What are some of the things that we do? We've seen, I know everybody in the room said that they've been through a hurricane. What are some of the things that we've done, or that our parents do, or the people in the community do to keep our homes secure, to be safe, to be prepared, to be ready for the hurricane season?
My family boarded up all of our windows, made sure the glasses don't crack.
Okay, they board up the windows to make sure the glasses don't crack. What else do they do?
Buy non-perishable foods.
What does that mean? Buy non-perishable. That's a big expression.
Food that can last a very long time.
Good. Okay, foods that can last a very long time. Usually those foods are found in what kind of packaging?
Cans.
A lot of them are in cans. My favorite one is crackers, though. Crackers are in plastic bags or in bags. And I can't have dairy. Some people try to have cheese during that time. Crackers and cheese used to be the good old time. I don't know if we forgot that when when the electricity goes out, the cheese is not non-perishable, and so it perishes faster than, it gets moldy faster than. I can't have cheese though, but there are some people who love that. So, and then some of us get our little can of Vienna sausages because that's a non-perishable. Okay, what else have your parents or the people in your community done?
Like, they build emergency kits.
Okay, they create the emergency kits. What are some of the things that can be in an emergency kit, though?
They could put, like, bands in case somebody get injured,
Band-aids, What else?
and plasters, and cotton,
Mm-hmm.
and needles.
Needles? What kind of needles?
Like, if somebody get cut, like, they put a needle in their hand.
That's a job for the hospital. What else? So we don't want you to try to sew anybody up, folks, listening audience. That's the job for the hospital, so we'll have to wait for until the storm calms down a bit. We'll put pressure on it. We'll keep it really tight so that the person doesn't keep bleeding. And then when it calms down a bit, we take them to the hospital. You have to be kind of trained to do that, or you can cause permanent damage, and we don't know on that at all. Okay, what else can we do? Can we put in our kits?
A flashlight.
A flashlight is very important because what always happens if you've been in a hurricane, you know what happens. Every time. Sometimes before the winds even get past 20 miles per hour. I'm just saying. They go out really fast, right? What else can we put aside or set aside to make sure that we're secure?
Batteries.
Batteries, because once we don't know how long the electricity will go out for. What else?
And bringing in indoor items like potted plants, veranda furniture, decorations, and garbage cans inside. They can fly in strong winds.
Okay, dear. Yes, they can. They can. Good one. I didn't even think of that one, but it's very important. All persons listening, bring your outdoor furniture in. What do we do with our pets?
For me, I would like put them inside.
Oh, nice. What else? Okay, what else? In case your parents say, I don't want any dogs in here messing up my house. What can we safely do with our pets?
My father, we have a cage in the back of our yard, and we put all of our dogs inside.
Okay, so you have to say it again.
My father, we have a cage to the back of our yard, and we put all of our dogs in the cage.
Okay, good. All right. So if you have to put the dogs in a kennel, or you put your various animals in a cage, or if they can be in a safe space on the veranda, as in you try to cover it in or create some shelter for them without them having to come indoors. But you have to make sure that your pets are safe too, right? Because remember, flying debris, those things that the galvanize and anything that flies can hit and injure or even kill your pets, and you don't want that. So make sure for all those persons listening that we're securing not just our furniture but our pets as well. Anything else we have to add before we take a break? The medicines?
Yeah.
If you have special medication, special medicines, make sure that you have them in your kit because you don't want those in case you get sick, you need to have those on you. What about your
water?
Your water. Make sure you have your water for several days. You don't know when you'll have access to clean water. Sometimes the water gets a bit contaminated or dirty during storms, and so you want to make sure you have some clean water.
And make a family communications plan.
What is that? What's a family communications plan?
When you keep your family and loved ones intact.
How?
Like, you check on them and you ask them how they're doing and like how they're getting through with the storms and you know.
Okay. Has anybody in here ever done a family communication plan? I've never done it. I have to work on that for this year. I think that's the one thing I'm missing. No? Okay, so we have to all work on this for this year. But we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's youth on the go. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around. An adventure is always waiting. There's storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook Live and YouTube channels, and welcome to another edition of Youth on the Go. We are at the bottom of the hour, and Melissa, I am stoked, I am excited, I'm enthused, I'm all kinds of things right now. Over to you.
You are not as excited as me, okay? Good morning, Lee. How are you? You're not gonna listen. You're not gonna hear us today
No.
because you are traveling. And where is she traveling to, folks? Well, she already said it on her Facebook page, but she's coming home.
Yay.
Yes. So I am happy. As Zanella said, I'm stoked. I can't wait to see her. And of course, we also have another surprise for you. She would be on next week, right here
Yes,
on the
yes,
Youth on the Go. We miss you, Lee, and we are gonna make sure that your stay here is fabulous, you know. So good morning to you. Safe travels from all of us here at the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. From Vanny, you probably didn't know this, so surprise, she's coming home.
She might not have been on Facebook, right?
No, so surprise, Lee's coming home. You're gonna see her. I know Vanny can't wait, of course. So safe travels, Lee. Back over to you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And of course, when I read it, I didn't even get very far into the post because I started reading and I was
I
like,
didn't
I
read
just saw
any more of the
Nevis.
post.
I just saw
saw-
Nevis. I was like, what? And then,
Yes.
yeah. So I came in this morning, like, Melissa, I'm excited. All right, we can't wait to have Lee in the studio with us next week to get some of her story time and her experiences and inspiration, and of course her songs and music and the way that only Lee can do it. Right? Children, we are going to continue with our talk about hurricanes, and maybe some of you might have been through, like you said, all of you have been through some hurricane. Can you remember any of the hurricanes that you would have seen or witnessed or experienced?
Hurricane Irma.
So Hurricane Irma,
Maria.
Hurricane Maria. Yeah? Okay. All right. So I've been through so many I can't even start listing them. It makes me start to feel a little bit older. But, I'm young with you, right? But I can remember in 1989, Hurricane Hugo. That was probably one of the worst ones because we hadn't had many strong hurricanes. And so we didn't have disaster multi-hazard campaign. We heard that a storm was coming. Persons tried to board up. I think that was about it. We didn't do much, and Nevis was in pretty bad shape at the end of it. We had to get foreign aid. We had to get some. Remember our sun-kissed T-shirts? Melissa, remember your sun-kissed T-shirts? Everybody had a sun-kissed T-shirt. They sent T-shirt and Mutt's applesauce. You know the applesauce that the younger children eat. Some of us eat it still. That's what came in. A lot of that came in from overseas. Those are the two that I remember. And I think powdered milk, because like you said, it has to be non-perishable, so you couldn't have the canned milk because there was no electricity for a long time. And at our house, our roof, portions of our roof came off. Our house was flooded. I mean, across the island, lots of people got damaged. The houses were damaged really, really badly. Not as badly as Barbuda was in the last hurricane, but it hit us really hard. And after that, I think we realized how important it was for us to really have a plan in place and to listen and understand the importance of acting and being proactive when it comes to hurricanes. And so I want to applaud the Nevis Disaster Management Department for doing a great job and for using all of you to help us get the word out. Does anybody know when the hurricane season starts? Okay, let's hear from Zanaya.
The hurricane season starts on June 1st and ends on November 30th.
Okay, so we have a couple months. Thank you very much, Naya. We have a couple months of hurricane season left, and so we want to make sure everybody out there who's listening knows what is expected and what they should look out for. So, what are the characteristics of a tropical storm? What are the characteristics of a tropical storm?
Development. A tropical storm develops during the warm seasons when pressure from the evaporating seas is paired with cool air from the atmosphere. Combined with low and high pressures, the clouds begin to circulate and move from the surface of the sea into the atmosphere, creating the characteristic spiral shape of the tropical storm.
Seasons. Tropical storms in the Atlantic Ocean generally occur between June and November, but can still appear outside of these dates.
Winds. When it has wind speeds between 38 miles per hour and 73 miles per hour, it is a tropical storm. It becomes a hurricane when the wind speeds is 74 miles per hour and above.
Okay.
Predictions. Tropical storms are difficult to predict since they begin in the ocean, which is not monitored as heavily as land.
Okay. So, but they really tried to do predictions. I remember I told you about the map that we used to have. I wish they could give those out again. Actually looks just like that on the wall. Everybody had one, and you always looked forward to it, and they would tell you it is now at, and you take time. It helps you with your mapping skills, and to me it was exciting because I would always lock in and tune in to hear where it is next, so I can track it. And because there were so many storms that came through the season, sometimes you have a different color pen for each storm or a different color marker for each storm, so you know which storm went where. And it really helped to boost your interest in and awareness of what's happening around us, right? We can't just depend on technology all the time because we won't have anything to help us track or anything to physically hold on to. So that's something that I think I would love to see happening again. For our children to understand how to map and grid their storms. Okay, so we talked about several different storms. I talked about Hurricane Hugo, and Hurricane Hugo was extremely strong. Hurricane Irma was very, very, very strong as well. And we had Hurricane Maria and George and Louis and all those from long before you were born.
And Mike.
And Mike, I don't remember Mike.
You got a hurricane named Mike.
Okay, there was a hurricane named Mike. I can't remember Mike, but that's okay because you remember Mike. But there are several categories of hurricanes. Some are a bit stronger, some are not as strong. Can we go through the categories of hurricanes?
Category 1, 74 miles. Category 1, storms are sustained winds of 74 to 95 miles per hour and will cause produce some damage to
Unanchored mobile?
anchored mobile homes, vegetation, and signs.
Okay, so what kind of signs are we talking about?
Like when the rain wash away all the dirt. So
Okay, so it says causes damage to unanchored mobile homes, some signs, and vegetation. Meaning, I guess some of the trees, maybe not the big sturdy trees, but the smaller ones as well. What kind of signs are we talking about that that damage can be caused to them? Any ideas? When you're walking along and you see some red and white
the
stop signs, you have your crossing signs, those traffic signs, the bus stop. If that 95 mile per hour wind, if it's not secured properly, it can cause those to be damaged. Category 2.
Category 2. Storms have sustained winds of 96 to 110 miles per hour and will cause moderate damage to all mobile homes, roof, small crafts, flooding.
Okay, good. What about category 3?
Category 3. Storms have sustained winds of 111 to 130 miles per hour and will cause extensive damage to small buildings and cause lane roads to cut off.
Okay, good.
Category 4. Storms have sustained winds of 131 to 155 miles per hour and will cause extreme damage which can result in roofs destroyed, trees down, roads cut off, mobile homes destroyed, beach homes flooded.
Okay, good. Category 5.
Category 5 is the highest category of hurricane with sustained winds greater than 155 miles per hour. Category 5 storms cause catastrophic damage and probable loss of life.
Okay. Mr. Gumba, have we had any Category 5 storms in the region?
Yes,
gotten
we
it
would have
before.
had that in Dominica just a few years ago. And if you realize the damage that was caused went beyond what has always been predicted, to a point where some meteorologists are almost suggesting that they come up with a category 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it really went stronger than would have imagined. And looking at how climate change tends to increase the heat, there is still a probability that we may face more of that.
In the future.
Trust me.
Wow. Well, that's something that we have to think about, and we definitely know that we have to be really prepared for our storms. Now, because we've all been through hurricanes, we know that at the beginning of the storm we go, shh, 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 it's crazy outside, right? Some of you get excited, some use the time to bond with your family and play games and board games, if those still exist. They do, yes. Maybe you might get, when if it's not too dark in the house, some of you might read. Whatever you might do to pass the time, look out, peep out the little crack, because there might be a space that you can look out to see what's happening, that the whole house is not boarded up, but you have a little window or a little piece of something that you can peek through. But after the big fuss, we have a calm time, and then we go back into the storm, the winds, and all of that again. What is that calm point called?
The eye.
The eye. So the eye of the storm, and many people during the eye of the storm think that the storm is over, right? Okay, so tell us a bit about the eye.
The eye. The eye of a hurricane develops as wind speeds increase to 80 miles per hour or more. The eye can be anywhere from 20 to 40 miles in width as storm conditions persist. It forms a round cylindrical shape that extends up and above the actual storm like a tube. The position of the eye above the hurricane allows air from the atmosphere to sink down inside of it. The calm characteristics of the eye are necessary for heat, moisture, and air exchanges to take place.
Okay, and the eye has something around it called
The eye wall.
Woo! Okay, so who's going to tell me about the eye wall?
The eye wall. The eye wall is made up of thunderstorm clouds that encircle the eye of a hurricane. In effect, the eye acts as a vertex that feeds humid air and cloud formations in the force of the storm. These processes happen along the eye wall that surrounds the eye. Swirling pockets containing warm, humid air enter the eye wall where the strongest thunderstorms reside. As long as the eye continues to feed the eye wall, storm conditions will proceed.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we've learned a lot about hurricanes this morning. I want to know a bit about what you have been doing at your I want to know a bit about what you've been doing at your schools, what you've been doing in your communities to help to raise awareness. Of course, you're doing one thing today. You're here in the studio. But what have you been doing, or your classmates, your schoolmates been doing to help people to know more about hurricanes? And
Going to different schools to tell them what to do before, during, and after a hurricane.
okay, so we've been going to the schools telling them what to do before, after, and during a hurricane. What have you been telling them? What do you do before a hurricane?
You build an emergency kit, you make a family communication plan, and also bring in indoor items like potted plants, patio furnitures, decorations, and garbage bins.
All right, so we covered that before a little bit in the show, but we want to make sure everybody knows you don't do that during the hurricane. You don't go out and start bringing in patio furniture during the hurricane. What can happen?
You could lose your life.
Exactly, so you try to stay indoors. What do we do during a hurricane then?
Don't open the refrigerator or freezer. In case you lose power, you want the cold air to stay in. Stay away from glass doors or window. from windows and glass doors. They could break and hurt you. Don't go outside when the rain or wind stop. This is the eye of the storm, or a sharp rest to the rain and winds will start again. Listen to the safety officials for important instructions.
Okay, so the storm is now over. What do you do after the hurricane?
After the hurricane, if you are a child, do not go outside without an adult. Don't go near any wires that are loose or dangling. They could electrocute you. Be alert for the smell of gas. Don't drink water from the faucet unless safety officials say so. Text, don't talk, as you may block the phone line for emergency workers.
Okay, good. So you try to message as much as possible, and that's mostly for the adults. I mean, some children have phones, yes, but you try not to. And texting takes less battery life than talking anyway, so it will help to save your battery life as well. All right. Of course, we can't let you go without saying special good mornings and giving greetings to your family members and friends and teachers and principals. So we're going to allow everybody to say good morning to whomever you have to say good morning to and hello to. If you can start thinking about that, who do I want to say good morning to, and of course thank you to, or anything that you want to say to any individuals who may be watching or listening. Naya? And you have to say the person's name. So it's easy for the public to know, for example, good morning to my mommy, and you say your mommy's name instead of saying my mommy, because then nobody will know who your mommy is. Or if you want to say your uncle or whomever you're saying good morning to.
Good morning to my mother, Teresa Elliott.
Okay.
Who else?
Good morning to my father, Colin Nicholas, and to my auntie and uncle.
Okay, and I guess your siblings as well.
Yeah.
All right. Sammy?
I want to say good morning to my mother, Eureka Lucius, and my teacher, Mrs. Clark, and my principal, Miss Richards, and to all my family.
I would like to say good morning to my mother, Glenda Lyra Brown, to my father, and good morning to my father, Livingston Brown, and good morning to my big brother, Kenny Brown.
Okay, awesome. Good job.
I would like to say a special good morning to my mother, Achia Lawrence, and my father, Lescott Webb.
Okay, good. And of course, I don't want your siblings to get jealous, so I'm going to give them a big shout out. In case we missed anybody, together, before we go on, I'll have Mr. Gumba, if you have anybody to say good morning to or thank you to, because, we want to make sure that you cover all persons who have contributed to the multi-hazard campaign, especially the hurricane campaign at Ivor Waters.
In fact, of course, I have to thank you for making this possible. Yes, and I also want to thank the head teacher of the school, Miss Janice
Richards.
Richards. I mean, she is very proactive and flexible. If you realize this is the month of test of standards, yet the students from the school, this is not the only activity they did. They had to become ambassadors of the same message to different schools, Charlestown Primary, JLP, Jocelyn Libet Primary, and they went to a secondary school, which was Nevis International High School. And as if that was not enough, they went to government institutions, went to the Premier's Ministry, and went to Ministry of Finance. Yes. They were well received, and the boldness and clarity, even the passion behind their presentation moved a lot of persons. I really want to encourage the parents who released them, signed the consent forms, and made it possible for it to be done. I believe there is no other better way to disseminate safety messages than utilizing the school children. And just to add a little information, for you to see more of what they have done, check the Nevis Disaster Management website, ndmd.kn. That's www.ndmd.kn. the social media page, which is Nevis Outlets, and ndmd.kn as well. And to contact the office is 1-869-469-1423.
All right, awesome. So we have, I want to congratulate and commend all of you for being bold and brave this morning and for sharing with everybody so that they can know what to do before, during, and after a hurricane, and also so that they can have some more information about what a hurricane is about. And we got a bit of a lesson this morning. So you were able to teach not one person, not students at one school, but you have persons listening and watching from here on Nevis and St. Kitts, throughout the Caribbean. People are on Facebook, people are on YouTube. And so you're getting your message out to many, 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 many people. And I want to congratulate and commend you. Give each other a round of applause for a job well done. All right. Now, I'm going to quickly, just for this week, go over the graduation ceremonies that will be happening this week. We have Joycelyn Library Primary and St. James Primary on Wednesday. St. James Primary is at 9:30 a.m. at the Church of God, Eden Brown, and JLPS is at St. George's Anglican Church at 4 p.m. On the 4th, we have a lot going on. Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary, Cumberland Methodist Church at 9:30 a.m. Charlestown Primary, 4 p.m. Montessori Academy, 4 p.m. At the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall, and the Gingerland Preschool at the Gingerland Methodist Church at 9:30 a.m. And then we have Ines France at the Jessups New Testament Church at 10 a.m. on the 5th, which is Friday, and Maud Smith Preschool at 10 a.m. at St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall. So this is going to be a busy graduation week. We want to commend all students. I know that your results are not out yet, but they will be out before graduation. And so I want to commend all of you for working hard, and we look forward to hearing much more about all of you in the studio in the near future. Keep working, keep striving. And to all our listening audience, have a wonderful and productive week. And don't forget to support all of our children, all of our students. Have a great week.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past this quickly.